The nurse that helped her was a woman who seemed to have very ancient wisdom in her eyes. She looked at my mom and she said, Sissy, this doesn't seem like a physical problem that you're having. You need something more spiritual that can help you. And I can recommend someone who may be able to assist you. That's when she met Julius, who was a white medium. Now, Julius looked just like any other man, but his presence was anything but ordinary. When he heard my mom's story, his face grew very serious, and he said to her, "Your enemies are in your house. They have had time to plant their weapons." He told her, "The ones you cut off, they've been waiting for you to let them back in." Obviously, when she hears this, my mom's heart sank. Julius wasn't really able to help her in terms of the now ritual part of things because, as I mentioned, he is a Caucasian man. They can never be ritual specialists, but fortunately Julius was able to refer her to someone else, a Tanzanian traditional healer. This traditional healer had a very good reputation in and around Johannesburg for having a deep spiritual connection. When we went to meet him, we had no idea what to expect. So he led us into his ndumba, which was a hut tucked away inside a massive Santon house. The richest square mile in Africa has a lot of things going on over there. It felt like stepping into a whole other world. Inside, there was only darkness except for a single candle flickering in the corner. His name was Chimwemwe, and he told us to put our hands together. When we've all put our hands together, we then walked into the recess of Indumba, into the shadows. And that's when we felt it. It was as though the very air was alive, heavy with the weight of ancient creatures, elephants, giraffes, birds moving all around us. We heard their chants, the power of their steps vibrating through the ground. Sounds like the consultation I had. I've linked that video in the caption, go and check it out. Chimwemwe assured us not to be afraid, but the fear that we felt was simply impossible to ignore. And that's when the whispers started. The voice was not human. It was cold, distant, yet somehow intimate. It spoke directly to my mother. Place the tin near the candle. And as soon as she did that, a very strange thing happened. She seized up. Her body shook uncontrollably and her eyes rolled to the back of her head. It was so terrifying to see, but the entire time Chimwemwe remained calm. He told her to take the tin home, to put it under her bed, and to leave it there for 3 days. When we came back to see Chimwemwe, he took the tin from my mother. He opened it up. It was very clear that it had been untouched in the time that he had given it to her to put under the bed. It had not been tampered with. When we opened it, inside, my mother found things that made her blood and mine run cold. Tied with red string. Always the red string. If you have red string and red candles and you don't know what you're doing, you've got a very serious problem. Tied with red string was a 10 rand note, men's underwear, snake skin, and a monkey's hand. It was clearly a very dark ritual that had been performed here, a spell that was designed to break her, to break our family. It now explained everything: the illnesses, the constant fighting, and the mental and emotional breakdowns that my mom, Sipho, and the rest of my family seemed to be experiencing on a more frequent basis. As the traditional healer continued to speak, my mom started to cry. He told her that someone wanted her unalive. They had used her spirit to create something very dark and sinister, something twisted, and it wasn't just a curse. It was an attack on her very soul. From that day on, things only grew stranger. Every time my mom visited my grandma would call her a witch. She claimed that my mom's wealth came from dark forces and that I too was cursed, born to be umthakathi, a witch. She would preach every Tuesday and every Sunday, wearing her white cloth and calling herself a child of God, all the while condemning everyone around her. Isn't that always the case? Upopopo, the mouthpiece in the family, the one who's constantly causing issues or constantly trying to control people and get them to do weird things. There's this one person that they constantly accuse of practicing witchcraft. It's usually a projection. She'd even started asking all of us to throw out our bathwater in the exact same spot when we finished washing. And when we questioned her about it, she just simply brushed it off, saying that God had told her and that God favored her. God does not speak to anyone. If you think you are hearing God, you are experiencing psychosis. If your pastor is telling you that they can hear God, they're lying. That's a scammer. Nobody can hear God. Makosi, the story is far from over. There's more to it, much more. But for now, I will leave it there, suspending it in the shadows, just like the darkness that continued to follow us all. Absolutely loved this one. Thank you so much for sharing. If you have a crazy story of your own, drop it in my inbox or send it to my email. You can find both of those links on my profile. Follow me, subscribe. There's way more story times coming up that are going to be subscriber only videos, and have yourself a smashing and lush day. Don't forget to take care of yourself. Don't forget to take care of your skin. You only get one your entire lifetime. Make sure you make the most of it. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it definitely should reflect how much you care about yourself and how much you love yourself. That's it.